Have you ever loved a story so much that it changed the way the whole world talks about reality and imagination? Today, we're diving into one of the best-selling and most influential books of all time, Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. A novel that sold hundreds of millions of copies, inspired countless adaptations, and basically invented the modern novel as we know it. Don Quixote was first published in two parts, in 1605 and 1615 in Spain, marking a pivotal moment in literary history. Its author, Miguel de Cervantes, had anything but an easy life, facing numerous hardships and adventures. He was a soldier, wounded in battle, captured by pirates, and spent years as a prisoner, enduring immense challenges. Cervantes also worked as a tax collector and struggled with money for most of his life, reflecting the common struggles of his era. Out of this chaotic life came a story about a man who decides that the real world is not enough, seeking something more. Instead, he chooses to live inside the world of his favorite books, old tales of knights, dragons, and heroic quests, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. Our hero is Alonso Quixano, a middle-aged minor nobleman living in the Spanish countryside, whose life is about to take an extraordinary turn. He spends so much time reading chivalric romances that he loses touch with reality, becoming consumed by the tales of old. One day, he decides to become a knight-errant himself, embracing a new identity and purpose. He renames himself Don Quixote de la Mancha, puts on rusty armor, grabs an old lance, and renames his skinny horse Rocinante. He rides out to right wrongs and defend the helpless, embarking on his self-appointed quest. Very quickly, he convinces a simple, practical farmer, Sancho Panza, to become his squire, promising him great rewards. Sancho rides a donkey, not a horse, and he doesn't share Don Quixote's illusions, remaining grounded in reality. But he does hope there's a reward in it for him, maybe even an island to govern, fueling his participation in the adventures. One of the most famous scenes in world literature happens early in the book, a moment of iconic delusion. Don Quixote sees a group of windmills in the distance and believes they are giant monsters, ready for battle. Despite Sancho's warnings, he charges at them with his lance, convinced of their monstrous nature. The windmill arm hits him, sends him flying, and he crashes to the ground, a comical yet painful defeat. To us, it's hilarious, a classic example of his misguided chivalry. To Don Quixote, it's proof that evil magicians have transformed the giants into windmills just to spite him, reinforcing his delusions. Throughout the novel, this pattern repeats. His idealism constantly clashes with harsh reality. He attacks harmless travelers, thinking they are enemies, leading to chaotic and often humorous encounters. He rescues people who don't actually want his help, further complicating their lives. He declares his love for a peasant woman he's barely met, renaming her Dulcinea del Toboso, and imagines her as a noble lady. Sancho, meanwhile, tries to keep one foot in reality while following his master's wild fantasies, often with a sigh. Their conversations, full of misunderstandings, proverbs, and jokes, are a big reason the book is still so funny today, offering timeless humor. So why has Don Quixote sold so many copies and remained popular for more than 400 years, captivating generations of readers? First, it's often called the first modern novel, pioneering new narrative techniques. Cervantes doesn't just tell a straightforward story. He plays with narration, uses stories inside stories, and comments on his own writing. He even has characters in Part 2 who have read Part 1 of Don Quixote and know about the hero's adventures, a truly innovative concept. Second, the book is a brilliant mix of comedy and tragedy, reflecting the complexities of the human experience. On the surface, Don Quixote is ridiculous, a man chasing windmills, a figure of fun. But underneath the jokes, there's something deeply human about him, a profound idealism. He refuses to accept a boring, unfair world, choosing instead to create his own reality. He prefers a reality where honor, justice, and love actually matter, striving for a noble ideal. Many readers see him as a symbol of the idealistic dreamer, the person who keeps believing in something better, even when everyone else laughs. Finally, the relationship between Don Quixote and Sancho Panza is one of the greatest duos in literature, a bond forged through shared adventures. The dreamer and the realist, the knight and the peasant, they represent contrasting yet complementary forces. They clash, argue, misunderstand each other, but they also develop a real friendship, growing together through their journey. Don Quixote has influenced authors like Dostoevsky, Flaubert, Borges, and Dickens, leaving an indelible mark on world literature. The phrase tilting at windmills has entered many languages as a way to describe fighting imaginary enemies, a testament to its cultural impact. The characters have appeared in operas, ballets, films, musicals, and even commercials, showcasing their universal appeal. And in terms of numbers, it sits near the very top of the list of best-selling books of all time, with estimates around 500 million copies sold worldwide. Not bad for a story written in the early 1600s by a man who never got rich from it, a true labor of love. So that's Don Quixote, a funny, moving, and surprisingly modern story about a man who refuses to let go of his dreams, even when the whole world calls him crazy. If you've read it, tell us in the comments. Are you more like Don Quixote or more like Sancho Panza? And if you enjoyed this 5-minute breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next episode in our journey through million-seller books. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes a little bit of madness is the beginning of a great story.